Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Orlando. Stay. Why does this thing not stay? There we go. My name is Dave Shine. I serve here today on our worship team here at 1U. Let me introduce today's service with our special guest, Pastor Dr. Joel Hunter, worship lead, Melissa Baker, Director of Lifespan Religious Enrichment, Judith Stein-Farrell, Music Director, Aubrey Connolly-Condelario, the Chalice Choir, and drummer, Jacob Height. Board member, Richard Lewis, our artist in residence, Leisha Matthias, and our chalice lighter, Rosie. And let's not forget our teams of wonderful people in the background working diligently to ensure that we come together this morning. So thank you. We greet you this morning, old friends and new, as we explore our Unitarian Universalist faith, which draws us into community of justice seekers with a commitment to lifelong spiritual growth and compassionate service to the community. Whether today is your first or your 1000th Sunday in our midst, you are welcome here. Whoever you are, whoever you love, you are welcome here. In this community, your whole self is welcome. We welcome your race, national origin, immigration status, gender identity, sexual orientation, age, physical or mental abilities, economic status, or religious background. We welcome you. Oh, a special note, this just came in. This just came in. Alan and Suzanne Oberholzer are here. Yay! Well, it's good to see you two again. So we have a few special announcements today. Join us next Sunday when the divine Linnea Nelson joins us on a journey from head to heart to hold hope and peace closely in these challenging times. Also, next Sunday, just a compassionate reminder that it's daylight savings time is among us. While our smartphones will silently gaslight most of us into waking up an hour earlier, please spare a thought for our friends still living in analog. We hope no one sleeps through Linnea's service, but you know that you won't be turned away from social hour if you arrive at what should be 10:30. There will be extra coffee available. We traditionally hold monthly a town hall meeting on our first Sundays. However, after enjoying food and fellowship in Gore Hall today, we shall reconvene in this sacred space at noon for our spring congregational meeting. If you'd like to join us from home, this QR code leads to the Zoom link, which is also found on our website and in Friday's weekly update. We hope you'll join us for this informative session. There will be no votes taken today. On Saturday, March 28th, experience an unforgettable evening as Elena Zaks takes the stage with a captivating violin concert that fuses classical artistry and modern technology. Elena Zaks invites audiences on a sensory journey where music and multimedia meet to create something entirely new and deeply moving. Tickets are available through Zephy. This is the final concert of the Milk District Salon 2025-26 season. A new season will be announced later this spring. For more information about our congregation and announcements, go to orlandouu.org or email info@orlandouu.org. All other announcements are posted on slides before and after the service and can be found with links in the weekly update or on our website. If you would like to follow along with today's service, please use the QR code shown on the monitor to view the order of service. Thanks again for being here in person and online today. Welcome our chalice lighter, Rosie, Rosie is 10 years old and loves drawing. Very nice. Please say these words with me as we light the chalice. In the light of truth and in the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. Thank you, Rosie. Please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing our opening hymn, number 345, With joy we claim the growing light. The words will appear on the screen.
Good morning, beautiful beings. I love the Unitarian Universalist concept that prayer is the practice of presence. This month, we center ourselves on the theme of paying attention. It speaks to being fully present in each moment. It is easy to move through the world with a narrow focus, like sleepwalking along the path of least resistance. But to truly worship is to wake up, to turn our gaze toward the world with a generosity of spirit that refuses to look away. To pay attention is a radical act of love. It is the bridge between isolation and community. In our Roots and Wings gatherings, we are not just talking about death and dying. We are sharing our stories of grief and loss. We are reminded that walking through community is not the same as walking with community. We are meeting one another where we are and bearing witness to each individual truth. It is with this spirit of intentional witnessing that we welcome a guest who has made a career of looking closely at the common good. In the absence of Reverend Margalie, we are honored by the generous presence of Dr. Joel Hunter. Whether providing spiritual counsel as an advisor to President Obama or leading the World Evangelical Alliance, Dr. Hunter has modeled a rare form of attention, the ability to see the inherent dignity in every person, regardless of the partisan or political lines that seek to divide us. As the chairman of the Central Florida Pledge, he calls us to a specific kind of mindfulness, a commitment to treat all people with kindness and respect, especially those with whom we disagree. His presence here today is a reminder that when we pay attention to the humanity of our neighbor, we find the common ground required to heal our world. Dr. Hunter is a pastor of community benefit and a powerful voice for philanthropy, but more importantly, he is a seeker of peace. We are grateful for the warmth and wisdom he brings to our pulpit this morning. Let us now quiet our wandering minds and sharpen our focus. Let us give this hour our full, undivided attention. Welcome, Dr. Hunter. We're so glad you're here. Speaking of welcome, if you are joining us online for the first time, please say so in the comments. If you're joining us for the first time or even the third time in worship today, Please stand if you're willing, so we may offer a warm welcome. Welcome, welcome. We're so glad you're here. Now let's all get up and mingle until we hear the jingle.
Reverend Marnie Harmony kicked off our pledge service season last week with her sermon on the amount. Today's testimonial for pledging to financial support this sacred ground in our beloved community is provided by one of our religious educators, Jared Haggard.
Thanks for your time and attention this morning, y'all. I'm going to take a quick note from my good friend Melissa and say, "Hail, beloveds." All right, where's my portion? Here we are. Yeah, my name is Jared Haggard, and Orlando is my chosen home. Last year, I was invited to join the board of directors at Orlando Day Nursery, where my children attend school Monday through Friday, and it got me thinking more about the importance of community, legacy, and sustaining third spaces. Third spaces have been empirically proven to have a positive impact on childhood development, and it's been studied and now known that children who have communities and spaces to grow their identity outside of home and school reap numerous benefits numerous positive developmental and mental health benefits. So let's go back to last year for a second. When I was walking my kids through our Milk District neighborhood here that surrounds us one March Sunday last year, I happened upon our campus here at 1U, and I thought to myself, wait a second, Unitarian Church? Like that same church in Philadelphia that hosts shows for some of my favorite live videos for bands like Blacklisted, Full of Hell, Gouge Away, Code Orange, Harm's Way, Drain? There's an intersectional pride flag outside? As someone who had been categorically abused by the Christian school system so badly that I founded several doom metal bands about it, and then even ran my own extreme metal promotion right here in Orlando 15 years ago, I never thought I'd voluntarily be anywhere near a church. I mean, how could I? Why give any of myself to those who confidently hated me to my face when I wasn't even old enough to get myself the ability to flee? But my kids wanted to play with the kids that they heard outside in the RE program, so I said, we'll come back next week and check it out. That following week, Isaac, and I wish I could have had a photo, I did find a couple of photos of them wreaking havoc in the wiggle room that day. I paid close attention to Reverend Margulies' sermon, my guard fully up, but everybody seemed friendly, and it was evident right away that there weren't any crosses, Bibles, or traditional gesturing to a Christian-shaped God of Abraham. There didn't seem to be any metalheads, punks, or visibly straight-edge meatheads in here either in the sanctuary, so I was kind of left with many curiosities as to where exactly I was. But then I met Judith, Melinda, Fluffy, Tess, Charles, Aubrey, Rhonda, Tommy, Melissa, Kathy, Catherine, Amber, Michael, Dan, Sammy, Eric, Kirsten. Is anybody stopping me yet? Okay, fine, I know I'm supposed to keep it brief. And I just kept coming back to learn more about the concept of pluralism, community, and exist in a religious space that didn't auto-hate me for being a gender-void omnisexual father of 2. Today, almost a full year later, I am a member of 1U, a teacher in our RE classrooms, as predicated by my introduction by Mr. Dave, thank you, and a frequenter of our game nights. Please come to game nights, it's fun. I stay because pluralism fascinates me. I stay because I've grown to befriend and respect our RE program caretakers and teachers. I stay because I'm welcome to. I welcome all of those who can hear me, online, in the flesh, to support 1U with your patronage this season, so that one day, maybe one of my children will stand before you in this sanctuary to deliver a similar set of stories from the time that they've spent here with y'all. Legacy is critical to any third space, and I've lived a life where passion is best proven with your own coins on the table. Thank you for your time and attention.
Always helps when you turn on your mic. Howdy! My name is Judith Stein-Farrell. I'm the Director of Lifespan Religious Enrichment for all the newbies in the room. And this is the time for all ages where the children, young youth, young at heart, get to join me up here on the carpet, whether I'm ready for them or not. So this morning, Dr. Hunter is going to be talking to us based on, and I don't know, Dr. Hunter, exactly what you're going to say, but I did look at Kings 2. And what I took from it was, hey folks, we've got what we need here. At least that's a part of it. Look around you, you've got what you need here. So I would like the kids to look at me, but here we go. So there's a series of books. This is the for the grown-ups in the room. This is the common read this year. It's called Social Change Now: Guide for Reflection and Connection. And our membership team and I are kind of talking about whether we're going to do a workshop around it at some point in the near future. And then there's this children's version of it called We Are the Builders. I'm not going to read the book. Not today, but we may read it in the classroom at some point soon. But we are going to talk about the points in the book. And the points, guys, in the book say that we all of us here at 1U and in the world, have things we can do to make a difference in our world. Some of us are guides, right? Some of us welcome in the visitors, help them find their way, and answer questions. Can you recognize, do you know who some of those people might be if you just think about it? Can you just nod, okay. Some of us are the weavers. We stitch, braid, find common threads, help find what connects us. Do you know people that help to do that sort of thing? Yeah, y'all, can you recognize some of these folks? Some of us are the experimenters. We scan, we invent, we improvise, we solve hard problems. I'm going to look directly at the tech team for that one. Some of us are the frontline responders, right? We plan and protect. The safety team comes to mind. We stay prepared. We stock supplies. I'm looking for Martha and her camera. There we are. Some of us are visionaries. We dream and we imagine, right? We get great ideas, we inspire others. Some of our teachers are those people. And we just think about what the world can be. I would also say our social justice team, Rachel and Martha and Mike and that whole group, right, are big on helping us do things. Our pride team that gets us into the parade every year. Some of us are builders. We forge, we construct things, we fix things, we improve things. I would say operations is big on that, buildings and grounds, wherever Jim is. There we go. We've got caregivers, right? people who comfort, console, soothe, cheer, do acts of service. Who does that? Do you know anyone that does things like that? A lot of us in the congregation do, and we have our minister does, our care team. Then we've got disruptors. We declare, raise your hand, disruptors. We declare, we demonstrate, we raise our voices, banners, we meet, and we march. Have any of you done any of that? Have any of you marched?
Flower.
I see. Creator, right? Visionaries. Some of us are healers. We renew, we restore. Melissa and Roots and Wings, right? We relieve, we help those who need to cry and to grieve. And some of us are storytellers. Create art. You're going to hear some of that today, and bring joy and stories of the past. Oops, there we go. So, what I have here, folks, is a quick question. Do you see yourselves as who here sees themselves as a storyteller? Melinda, can you help me out? Can you hand them little squares of who they are? So storytellers are the yellow ones. Who here sees themselves as a healer? Renewing, restoring, helping, being there for. It's okay. Sometimes as you grow up, your parts change. Who's a disruptor? Who's a caregiver, is there to comfort and console? Yep, that's perfect. Who is a builder? Builds things, constructs things. You're a builder. Yeah, I got one right here. There you go. Take one of those. Okay. Who's a caregiver? Whoops, wrong way. There we go. Visionary. Dreams, imagines, inspires. I think so too. Frontline responder. Plans, protects, stays prepared, stocks things up. I think Dan way back there, but we'll give him his later. So, who's an experimenter? Scans, invents, improvises.
I'll do that.
Yeah, I think so too. You are absolutely an improviser. A weaver, stitches things together. And a guide, which is what so many of us do. I'd like everybody in the congregation to be a guide, so just raise your hand now, because you be helpful to the people that walk in the door. So folks, you all have a role that you can play, or you can find somebody who can do it for you, okay? All right. This morning, I'm going to ask our adults I'm going to scan ahead real fast. Wait a minute. There we go. There we go. To form a loving bridge, to sing our children out to their classrooms. We're headed out, Wesley.
Love that song. Good morning, my name is Michael Lewis, and I am a member of the Board of Trustees. As we invite you into generosity, we are affirming that this time in our service is not simply an invitation for you to practice giving. It is a reminder that your giving is necessary for you to exist and thrive, and continue to engage the good news of universal Unitarianism. It affords us to be the change we wish to see in our world as we take action rather than waiting for others to do so. Generosity is a spiritual practice that connects us to our neighbors. This morning, our entire collection will be dedicated to our Share the Plate partner from March and April, One Heart for Women and Children. They are a lifeline for families in Central Florida, and we are honored to support their mission to share more about the lives being changed through this work. I am delighted to welcome Stephanie Bowman, and I have a few more words here I'd like to say about her. Founded by Stephanie Bowman 17 years ago, One Heart for Women and Children stands as a testament to the transformative power of hope. Stephanie's personal journey from facing homelessness with her daughters to celebrating 27 years of sobriety fuels her unwavering determination to make a difference. Today, One Heart serves as one of the largest food pantries in all of Orlando and Orange County, offering vital food assistance and outreach events, thrift store, and many more programs to help our neighbors in need. Their organization stands as a symbol of resilience and compassion, committed to uplifting and empowering individuals and families. Through their array of programs, we strive to foster positive change and create a brighter future for all. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Stephanie Bowman.
Good morning to all. Morning. I'm grateful to be here again. I was here about a year ago, and we've got a lot of updates to be able to share. I do want to, for anybody that's new that I have not met or you have not met me, I do want to share just a little bit about my past. 27 years ago, I was running from domestic violence, addicted to drugs. I felt invisible. I felt alone. And I had no idea what was going to happen next. We ended up homeless when I fled in the middle of the night. We were homeless just a few miles from here. We were down in Paramore and Anderson area. I was putting my 6-year-old daughter in dumpsters for food, and nobody, not only in the world, but nobody here in Orlando should ever have to be put in a dumpster for food. As we were homeless for 6 weeks, again, feeling invisible, I had no idea what it felt like to not take a shower, to not have fresh food on my table, or even for my children. Somebody saw us one day, and it was 6 weeks into being homeless. And she said, "You don't have to live this way anymore." My children were removed. They went to foster care, and they picked me up and took me to treatment. January 7th of this year, I turned 27 years clean and sober as a result from that angel that was here on earth. Thank you. You know, I share that part because it's really important. When we meet each other, you know, we see each other for that very first time, and it's like, I think I know a little bit about you as soon as we look at each other, and what I want to say is, that's not always true. Every single one of us has a story. Every single one of us has a story of resilience as well. When I lost that glimmer of hope, I did things that I never thought that I would do, just in survival mode. After graduating from the treatment center and getting my kids back, very quickly I started volunteering in different places. And my promise to myself and to the community here in Orlando was that I wanted to be able to be the light for somebody else, the way somebody was the light for me and my children. I started volunteering in a lot of different places, and I knew that I wanted to start a nonprofit, but I had no idea what it was going to look like. The very first month, 17 years ago, we helped 53 women with fresh food, and it was absolutely amazing. Some were homeless and some were not homeless. Some of them just needed that little bit of that lifeline with food. That under 100 people that we started with that very first month grew to hundreds, grew to thousands, and here we are 17 years later, helping over 20,000 people every single month with fresh, healthy food. There should not be that many people here in Orange County that are food insecure. Although with nonprofit organizations like One Heart for Women and Children and our partners, if we can help one person at a time with a job, with fresh food, with safety from the domestic violence, with life skills, life coaching, that's just a little bit of the things that we do. And how we do it is almost 100% volunteer-based. We have 8 people on staff. And we're helping 20,000 people each month. Our food pantry is open 4 days a week. We have a thrift store on Saturday. And we always have volunteer opportunities. We have many people that I see here today that come into One Heart for the thrift store, but also come in to partner in other ways. We need each other. None of us were put on this earth to do anything alone. And I think that every single person at some point in their life has felt hopeless or helpless or invisible or misunderstood. And at One Heart, one of our greatest gifts is to be able to meet people where they are. Love them for exactly who they are, the way people loved me and my children exactly where we were. So some of the things that we've just expanded at One Heart, and some of our greatest needs right now is a 3-door refrigerator and a 3-door freezer. As we've just expanded, our thrift store has expanded, our community outreach team has also expanded, our opportunity to be able to have more team building events at One Heart for businesses and groups and churches has also been able to be expanded. Along with that, our opportunity to get more fresh, healthy food straight from the farms. So as the funds come in the next 2 months, I'm really, really grateful to be able to say that we'll be able to purchase some new equipment that is needed. We also have somebody that has said that they would match every dollar that comes in for the next 2 months. I want to say thank you all for loving each other, loving people as a whole, because the world needs more of it. We need each other, whether we're serving the homeless population, and I say population, I don't really like the way that sounds. No matter where anybody lives, no matter where we serve, I want to say thank you for your generous hearts, because we do need each other. Thank you all for seeing me today, for loving me, and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. The offering will now be collected.
A song
let us joyfully receive what is offered here today in the spirit of gratitude and fellowship.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored to serve as your official artist in residence. My name is Leisha, and I also go by Lisa Marie for English speakers. The title of my poem is In Everything. Today I pray to see the good you weave in everything, endlessly surrounding me, even when I feel scarcity. So when my mind decides to find fault in anything, I pray to see the good you weave in everything, which chooses me, wants me, and pursues me, in my neighbor who waves hello, in your faultless fields of flowers, rising and defying the winter snow, in the engineer of our home who cared so much about safety codes. So when I'm scared, I pray to see the good you weave, and the stranger who cared and dared to ask about my day, and the children outside, your divine messengers with many invitations to play, and your workers who take pride in services they provide, in the hands of those who grew my food, and a million mothers' kisses which never made the news. So when I'm hopeless, I pray to see the good you weave, in the pain which shaped me, in your trials which forced to make me into moments of bravery, and the fear which threatened to break me, because you never forsake me. Your good which came in new beginnings, to be born again in 1,000 skins, always rewriting my endings. So when I'm lonely, I pray to see the good you weave from your falcon who dives before me, revealing her beauty, slicing open the sky to find many perfect pictures of sunsets and daylight. In your trees whose only need is to share their breath with me, in your seas whose only wish is to know the warmth of my footprints. So when my mortal mind is full of pride and so short-sighted, when I feel invisible in the darkness inside it, I pray to see the good you weave in your countless creativities, in the diversity of all humanity, our inner light shining endlessly. May your imagination awake and inspire me, so we may taste the cusp of your infinity. In all the poems dying to be born in the air of our lungs, how lucky I am to receive all this love. The goodness in everything. If only I could see it, then I could breathe it, then I could believe it, then I could be it. Thank you.
Thank you, Leisha. This is the time we set aside for deep sharing of our hearts and for prayer and meditation. If you have a sorrow that you need witnessed or help with, or have a joy that you wish to share, please contribute to our collected sharing of joys and sorrows to be read each Sunday during worship. We typically do a candle lighting service, but we have lit candles in advance today, and for time concerns, we are considering that our prayers go into these flames. Jeannie Carter is wishing a happy birthday and happy anniversary to those who are celebrating in the month of March. CJ Shaw shared, I have started a new job with the state of Florida. The Florida Department of Revenue gave me a second chance. I start working as a revenue specialist too. What a relief. It feels amazing that I can start a new chapter in my work life. Happy new beginnings, CJ. They are lucky to have you back. 50 beloved beings gathered beneath beautiful sky for the 1U outdoor weekend at Moss Park yesterday. It was a marvelous day of fire, food, fun, and fellowship, and we cannot wait to do it again. Deepest gratitude to members of the fellowship team and others who put in extra effort and long hours to make magic happen for our families and friends. We hold in our hearts all those impacted by war and violence around the world and close at home. We hold our communities, our country, and our world with care and with our compassion by acting for justice in all of the small and large ways that will move the arc of the universe toward justice. And please let us remember that the arc is long. And for all the joys and sorrows of this community shared today, and for those held close to our hearts, let's pray, let's celebrate, and send each other healing energy. Now, please take a moment now to breathe deeply and soften your gaze as we hold in our hearts this prayer for attention to one another by Reverend Michelle Collins. You might even want to cast your gaze upon the sacred beings surrounding you today. Ground of all being in this room and beyond it. I am backing up. I am backing up before the prayer because I skipped over a very important message for our Joyce. Catherine Vaccaro had a total hip replacement on Friday. She is home now and all went well. She much appreciates everyone checking in. Thank you for that. Sorry, we love you, Catherine. I am backing up. Ground of all being in this room and beyond it, we are learning to see each other, not the quick assessments, not the categories, but the full, complicated truth of each and every life. Help us offer the gift of undivided presence, to listen without planning our reply, to make space for stories that take time to unfold, to ask who is missing from here and why. When we accompany those in pain, keep us from the tyranny of fixing. Teach us to stay while the crisis passes by, to show up in the unglamorous middle. May we become communities where every voice matters, where margins become centers, where attention itself is love made visible. Take another deep breath and allow the light to find your eyes, and then add your own intentions to the flames that are lit and burning. And we will now enjoy our centering hymn and then the much awaited presentation of Dr. Hunter.
To see the world in a grain of sand and a heaven in a wildflower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an arm.
It's a privilege to be with you this morning. Thank you for the invitation. I have long enjoyed working with First Unitarian and its pastors, Reverend Harmony. Reverend Schmidt is here this morning with Charlie somewhere. There she is back there. Love her. And now Reverend Margelli. Uh-oh. Is that a drum roll? Okay, all right. What's that? Am I in a dead zone? That doesn't sound good at all. I hope I'm going to move toward a resurrection zone, which is what we do. Okay. So I don't know where I got this sermon title, but we'll look at that. It harkened back in my mind to, some old-time TV, thank you, some old-time TV programs like Beverly Hillbillies. Remember when some of you are old enough to remember this, and a lot of you aren't, but, he shoots the ground and up comes a bubbling crude, or Lassie, the rescue dog, at the end of the program licking the face of a kid that she just rescued from quicksand, or, well, would you look at that? The point is that there are some things that if we don't take a little time, we're going to miss. And most of life is like that. We remain invisible until someone notices. And so I hearken back to this scripture. This is one of my favorite scriptures in all the Old Testament with Elisha, and they are sleeping and they wake up, and the servant goes out and they're surrounded by their enemies. And the servant starts freaking out because that's what he can see, the enemies. But it says in 2 Kings chapter 6, verse 16, he said, first of all, the servant comes in and says, "Oh Lord, what shall we do?" He's just freaking out. And the prophet says, Elisha, "Don't be afraid. For those who are with us are more than those who are with them." And the servant's looking, and he doesn't see anybody but them. And so this is what Elisha prays, and it goes toward the ending hymn this morning. "O Lord, open his eyes so that he may see." And then the Lord opened the servant's eyes, and he looked, and he saw hills full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. In other words, God had the enemy surrounded, but he was so panicked. The servant was so panicked, he couldn't see God's provision. All he could see was the threats of the world. We are living through the greatest competition for our attention in the history of mankind. It's called, there's a phrase called the attention economy. It was coined by, I think, Herbert Simon in 1971. And basically what it said was the currency of a digital age is our attention. And so they developed platforms to compete just for a few seconds of our attention. And that's what we face all day long, is just pay attention. Pay attention to me. No, pay attention to here. Just for a few seconds of our attention. The problem with that, of course, is that it leads to a shallow and artificial life, because we're all being conditioned to be ADD. We're all being conditioned not to think things through, or not to pay attention to that which is among us, but does not immediately call for high panic or high fear or high affirmation or all of these things that vie for our attention are things that eventually determine our character, because we will become what we behold. That's not my phrase, by the way. That was an actual book title. We become what we behold. And so, therefore, the algorithms that work on our devices point us toward a short-term jolt of dopamine or a long-term snooze of inattention. We seem to be going to one or two places. Either Neil Postman's classic, this was published a few decades ago, amusing ourselves to death. It was about all of living in an age of showbiz, you know, where we're surrounded by carnival barkers, many of them in politics. And amusing ourselves to death is a very telling title, because the word amuse is literally root without thinking. Without, muse is thinking. So we're being lulled into this constant scrolling culture where it dulls our thinking and takes away from building relationships. Or we are, on the other hand, being built into this society of addiction, where we're just looking for the next dopamine hit that comes either with affirmation. How many people are living and dying by the number of likes they get on their social media? Or the outrage and contempt and all of those feelings that are so intense and quite damaging. What therefore do we need to do? Well, very quickly, and this will be quick. There are three things that we can do. First of all, we can focus on what really matters in the long run. We have that capability. Focus on what really matters in the long run. And to do that, we have to open ourselves up to more than what calls for our immediate attention. Remember, Jesus had this great illustration where he said, the eye is the lamp of the body. You know, if the eye is evil, if the eye is unhealthy, the Greek word is poneros, and it means narrow. Do you ever see somebody give you the evil eye? That's the evil eye. It's real narrow. He said, then the whole body is full of darkness. But if the eye is healthy, if it's generous, and the Greek word is hoplos, means wide open to see all there is to see, then the whole body is full of light. So many of us are looking for answers, but we're missing the journey with those who are also looking for answers. In 1970, I was in seminary. Yeah, you can count the years. You can imagine how old I really am. And somebody came in with a story that their wife was a writer, and came with a story she had just written about these two little boys living in Germany, in the hills of Germany, and there was this village that held this festival. We still have these kinds of festivals, this kind of art festival. And so they were begging their mom just to go together into the village. And back then it was safe to do that. Some of us grew up when it was safe to do that. And so they went down, and in this era, many of the craftsmen plied their trade in the windows of their shops. You know, you could look in and you could see a cobbler at work in the window of his shop. And they were going down the street, and they saw this wood carver in the window of the shop, and he was working on this huge, block of wood. And they were trying to guess what he was carving. And so they stood outside, and they would guess, and the wood carver would say no. And with every guess, he would carve off the distinguishing features which they thought they saw. Well, one young man got fed up with it. He had other things he wanted to go see, but the other one was fascinated, And so the one took off, and the wood carver went like this. And the little boy went and sat beside him on the bench. And he kept his eyes on that block of wood. And as the wood carver would begin to carve some more, he'd ask the little boy about his family and about his interests, and the little boy would every once say, "You got any kids?" and so on and so forth. And then he'd see this roof start to take shape, and he said, "It's a chalet." And as soon as he did that, off came the eaves. And he paid attention again, and they talked some more, and the little boy thought he saw some big ears emerge, along with the trunk. He said, it's an elephant. Off came the ears. Off came the trunk. And they stayed that way, and with every guess, off would come the distinguishing features. And finally, there was a smaller block of wood. And the boy saw the long neck and the wings, and he said, "It's a swan. You've been making a swan all along." Off came the neck. Off came the wings, until there was nothing left. And the little boy was indignant. And he said, "I'm so angry." And the old man said, "Why?" And he said, "All the while you were making nothing." And the old man said, "Oh, but I was making a chance for us to get to know one another." You see, we are so intent on finding the answers to life, we miss the very important things of life, the relationships that are more important than any answers or non-answers we can come up with and get frustrated by. So we can be careful to focus on what really matters in life, and what really matters in life is us together. Or we can focus on seeing the potential in others and empowering them. One of my favorite stories, I love this story of the woman at the well. Just one of my favorite stories, if not my favorite story in all the Scripture. You know this story. Many of you in the Bible, there's a woman who came out to draw water in the middle of the day, and everybody knows why. Because she didn't want to be seen by the other people, because she was so ashamed of the life that she was living, and she was so disregarded by the other women who would come early in the morning, which was the sensible time to draw water because it was cool then. And here she was in the heat of the day, and Jesus was there. And of course, as Jesus does, he crosses every line to talk to her. He crossed the cultural barrier. He was a Jew. She was a Samaritan. He crossed the religious barrier. He was a man. He was a woman. He crossed the gender barrier. He crossed the geographic barrier. He was from Jerusalem. She was from Samaria. Of course, Samaria were disregarded as less than Orthodox Jewish people, and he initiated, which men never did to women. Initiated not just a conversation, but a request. Would you give me something to drink? In other words, I need your help. And you know the conversation they get into. And he begins to tell her about her life. And then she goes away. And you remember the story. She comes back with that village because she goes and says, "Come meet the Messiah. He just told me everything I ever did." Of course, that was an exaggeration. It wasn't that long a conversation, but that was her impression. And I want you to think about this. Two things happened there. First of all, he saw something in her nobody else saw. And that was someone worthy of talking to and talking with. But the second one was even more important. No, it was equally important. And that was, here was a woman who was disregarded and disrespected, now becomes the vehicle for all of the village to come and hear about God. And what many people miss is that he needed her to go into that village because a Jew couldn't go into a Samaritan village. Unless she did it, unless this Samaritan woman did it, he couldn't complete his mission. So he saw in her not only what she couldn't see in herself, but for what he needed in order to complete his mission. How many of you don't need to raise your hands because I know the answer is all of you. I know, okay, I got the yellow. Okay. How many of you have had somebody see in you what you never could see yourself? I grew up with a perfect sister. I still have her. But I went through grade school, and this is what I heard almost every day. Why can't you be more like Michelle? Because she was perfect, and she still is. She still is. But I spent half my time proving I couldn't be perfect. And that got me into a lot of trouble. But I had this third grade teacher, Joy Bethel. I'll never forget her as long as she lives. As long as I live. She's with the Lord now. I saw her again in her 90s. And she looked at me and she said, I still remember you. I was a hellion. But somehow, she saw in me what I never could. And I remember her saying, Joey, I believe in you. And I don't know whether she ever said this or I just imagined it. But somehow she communicated. Not only am I not going to send you to the principal's office like everybody else does, but you're my favorite. We should see in other people what they can't see and call it out, because people need that. We need that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hunter, for your good work in the world, for the warmth and joy you have delivered to this beloved community, and to the spirit of attention we shall carry into our day. Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing our closing hymn, Open My Eyes That I May See. The words will appear on the screen. Dear ones, our time of worship ends, but our practice of attention begins anew. As you leave this space, may you carry with you a sacred curiosity. May you pay attention to the neighbor you usually pass by, to the truth that feels uncomfortable, and to the quiet dignity in the eyes of those with whom you disagree. Most of all, may you see through the darkness in chaos to behold the unbridled grace and beauty that is galloping toward you, aglow with that familiar light of truth and warmth of love. Go forth not just to look, but to truly see, to build bridges where others build walls. May the warmth we shared today ignite a fire of kindness in the world tomorrow. Go in peace and in presence, with the clarity to say to the world, well, would you look at that?
Our call to action today is, of course, to consider what this place means to you and log on before month's end to pledge your financial support for the continued good care of what we build here at 1U. And remember to join us back here at noon for today's informative spring congregational meeting, or log on to Zoom to join us from home. Please say these words with me as we extinguish the phallus. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry into the world until we are together again.